Antonise, I saw Supreme, I saw Crystal, I saw KC, I saw Tiff's take one. I think I be saying it right, but Crystal, I mean not Crystal, Tina be like, I be saying it wrong. So if I say it wrong, forgive me, because you know a girl is not trying to be disrespectful. Who else did I see? BDBGP, because I'm gonna just say BD. It's a lot of letters. Big beard gang. Yes, if I remember correctly, Lauren. And anybody who else has sneaked in here, I want to say hello and acknowledge you. Okay, so I am from Philadelphia, if that answers the United States of America. I don't want to say America because there's North America and South America, but I am from the United States of America, and I am from the Philadelphia region. Okay, Argentina, welcome. So I don't want to be before you long because it's lunchtime. I know other people got things going on and things to do. So I want to talk a little bit about toxicity in a relationship and some signs and symptoms. So, toxicity in a relationship doesn't always come wrapped in chaos. It doesn't always look like yelling. It doesn't always look like all of the things that we equate with toxicity. Sometimes it looks calm. It looks subtle. It looks normal. It looks like peace, but it's still toxic. Thank you very much. And so I want to just go over some points. Sometimes toxicity does not look dramatic. It looks familiar. Okay. It looks normal because we were grown in a soil that is toxic. So the first point, if your relationship is undermining your sense of self, you might be in a toxic relationship. So if a relationship erodes your confidence, it erodes your boundaries, if it erodes your emotional equilibrium, and what does that mean? Without all the big words, when you start second guessing yourself, just being your normal self, that is a sign that some of the relationships that you have built around you may be causing you to question who you are. So for example, if I am the type of person who likes loud clothes, let me just go make that up. If I like loud clothes and I am with someone who says things like, do you want to wear that? Is that appropriate? Do you like that color? I don't think I would wear that, right? And so they start to question who you are, okay? So understand that you have to look at your relationships. And again, this does not have to be in romantic relationships. I have seen friend groups do this. It's almost like if you want to hang out with us, you have to conform to the standards that we put up, the status that we put up. That's why I could never, me personally, do some of these groups and things that are exclusive, because my hair is going to be pink. Not today, because I'm trying to let it rest. But my hair is going to be pink. It's going to be purple. My clothes are probably going to be a little bit different than what you normally see. And I am not willing to conform, because you causing me to conform is toxic. I don't even like going to, I don't want to go there, but places of worship where they say you have to dress this way. Now, understand, I do understand modesty is a thing. Y'all know how I feel about being modest, but that's not all of who you are. And so I understand you got to have rules and regulations, but also don't force people to conform to what you think is appropriate. All right. So if a relationship is undermining your sense of self, then that is a relationship you might want to evaluate. You might want to question, let's examine. I don't want to say question, because that seems a little adversarial. Sorry for the big words. It seems a little oppositional, but question, call into question no, not question, examine. Do an examination on that relationship. Number two, people, again, like I said in the beginning, people often equate toxicity with arguing, fighting, chaos, just cantankerousness, just being oppositional, not being at peace. Toxicity often feels familiar, often feels normal, especially to certain people, right? YouTube said it's not a one person in here, which is crazy because I see people in here. Big Daddy Google be playing with your emotions. Don't y'all look at these numbers because they be lying on today. All right. So understand that toxicity in, hey, Corey, in relationships can feel foreign. Why? I'm sorry, can feel familiar, not foreign. Why? Because if you grew up in a toxic situation, okay? If you grew up in instability, if you grew up, unfortunately, in chronic poverty, if you grew up in an elitist society, if you grew up in certain environments, there is a level of toxicity inherent in that environment. Everybody know some more than others, but most people did not grow up in perfect households. No matter how good it was, there was a level of dysfunction because we are human. And because we are human, we are imperfect. And so there tends to be a level of imperfection inherent in most relationships. So toxicity often feels familiar. Oftentimes, I've said this before, I'll say it again. We replicate, hi, Anthony, we replicate the environment which we came from. And so your nervous system is going to gravitate to what feels known to you, what feels natural to you, what feels comfortable to you. That's why it's so hard to get out of toxic patterns. Not because we like it, but because it feels normal to us. If you grew up around instability, inconsistency, if you grew up with emotional neglect or constant up and down, if you grew up with constant somebody antagonizing you, somebody calling you out your name, somebody putting unrealistic expectations on you, if you grew up in that, it seems very normal in your connections now, even if it hurts you. Okay. I did see Supreme's question. I feel like toxicity, when you think of the word and when you think of toxicity erodes, toxicity makes one sick. And so I don't like toxic behavior, but I don't like utter compliance either. I hate to say it because I used to say all the time, I like to fuss. I like to fight. I like to have conversations. I like to have discourse. And oftentimes that comes from people having various opinions. So that's not what I'm describing here. None of these things are, you shouldn't have conflict in your relationship. I think conflict to a certain degree is healthy. And what I mean by conflict, you having your opinion, I having my opinion, and we have discourse to try to navigate that. Hey, Tina, welcome to the live. So I don't like toxicity because it makes one sick, right? If something is toxic and I consume it, then I become sick in my body, in my mind. So if a relationship is toxic, it is not helpful to you. So no, I don't like no toxicity. I will deal with conflict. I will deal with difference and all of those things. And honestly, I think you can have conflict and work together, which is not going to lead to some of these toxic patterns, okay? But understand that you're not going to be able to identify toxicity in your relationship just by looking at what makes you comfortable. Because sometimes we are comfortable with toxic. Okay, we're comfortable with mess. We are comfortable with that level of dysfunction because it seems normal to us, right? So that is something to consider. Okay, now, number 3, toxic relationships create emotional confusion. So if one day you feel valued in your relationship, you're the best thing since sliced bread in your relationship, and the next day you feel disposable, that emotional whiplash can become very addictive because your brain keeps chasing those moments of connection in between the chaos. That's why love bombing. Okay, and we're not talking about being nice in the beginning of a relationship. That's not love bombing. Love bombing is a psychological plan to torture you. And what? Missing out on the way? I missed it. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can catch the tomfoolery. Okay, no worries, Anthony's. I done missed it. But whatever it was, my bad. Repeat the question if somebody had a question. So that is why love bombing is a thing. So love bombing is when in the beginning of a relationship, especially if you're in a relationship with someone who has codependent patterns and behaviors, they will lavish you with trips and love and caring and concern, not because they want to be in a relationship with you, not because they're being nice, but because it is a planned manipulation. Okay. Oh, Jay is live. I won't be mad. I know some people go going over. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, I just got the John. Like, dang. And I'm using my other computer. I can't even support. But I'm not going to be here before you long. So understand, if you are finding yourself in a relationship where it is constantly back and forth, you love me today, you can't stand me tomorrow. You can't stand me today, and the world rises and sets, the sun rises and sets on your face the next day. That's not healthy. That is not healthy for our brains. That creates instability emotionally, and it's not healthy. Evaluate that relationship. Again, I'm not going to say the other word that I was saying. Evaluate, examine that relationship. Okay? Whew. All right, number 4. Sometimes and you look at the pattern of the relationships in your life, right? To see if you fall in this category. Sometimes we ignore red flags because we want connection. Look at the people in your life. Look at the relationships that you've had. Did you put up with things that you didn't like? Did you put up with things that hurt you just because you were so afraid that they would leave you? Right? Understand, we don't miss red flags because we're naive. Oftentimes we see it. We see the conflict. I have known in the beginning of a relationship, this is not the person for me. In my friendships, in my romantic relationships, right? That comment was funny. Where is Elevated at? This shirt reminds me of the time he said I looked like a Gain bottle because I had really bright green on. Anyhow, I got distracted. And look at the fact that we don't miss red flags because we're naive. We see them in the beginning. I could tell you, I could look back over my life and be like, I knew on date number 2, this was not the person. I knew the second time we went shopping together, if it was a girlfriend, that this was not my person. She was going to flake on you eventually. But I put up with it because I wanted the relationship, right? The desire to be loved, the desire to be chosen, the desire to be affirmed. You knew in the beginning. You didn't miss the red flag. You just decided that it was going to be yellow. You said, I see you, red flag, and I don't receive what you're saying. I'm just going to turn it to caution instead of allowing it to be red. And we don't realize when we permit ourselves to change the color of the light, we are ushering in the drama, the conflict, okay? So Corey said abandonment issues will definitely cause you to ignore red flags to keep people around longer. Yes, it is an effort to control the type of injury we will sustain. Because and I thank you for bringing it up. Sometimes we're just like, don't leave me. I will cling to, listen, this is the one in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. This is the relationship I got, and I'll do anything to keep it because I don't want... I see your question, Tina. I don't want to have to go through the pain of abandonment. So I will pick the discomfort of maintaining this relationship. Still not healthy. Because it's just like most things. We always stay longer than we should, right? And we give up more than we intend in those toxic relationships. You look up one day and be like, how did I get here? Well, because you turned all them red flags yellow. You said, no, I know they're a user. I know that they're a taker. I know that they're immature. I know all of those things. We'll work with it. We'll work together. So understand, if you can look at the relationship and say, hey, I am not doing this because I actually love and care about this person. I am doing this because I don't want to get left. Right? I don't want to get left. That's problematic. That is problematic, okay? So Tina asks, how do you get rid of people you still have to deal with? So here's the thing. I know you didn't listen to my video, so you probably heard me say this before. You can deal with anybody as long as you know what you're dealing with. And so for those people that I have to remain in contact with, whether that be because they are close relations to mine, whether for some people that have adult children, for some people who are dealing with elderly parents or grandparents, like people that I cannot dismantle the connection and I know that it's toxic, I start to neutralize the relationship. And so what does that mean? That means I start to limit your access to me and my conversation with you. I start to make sure that the interactions that we have are purely functional and they keep me safe. So if there are conversations, I have a person in my life, I love her to life, but we got on the phone, she fitting to complain. She is fitting to complain. And when she complains, it agitates me. Because I'm like, oh my God. I don't want to hear. Or gossip. Or just be confrontational. Talk about everything under the sun except advancement and growth and opportunities to move forward. That's not me, but I love this person. This person is in my life. And so what do is I set a time limit on how long I talk to them. Okay, I set a time limit. I'll be like, yeah, about 30 minutes. That's it, and that's all. Other things that you can do is be honest about the part that you play in the relationship. Because sometimes people respond to, and I know you talked about this a little bit not too long ago, Tina. Sometimes people respond to the energy that we're putting out there. I have had to apologize to people for I was blaming them for the problem in the relationship when I was the one putting kindling on the fire. I was the one who was maintaining it, especially for those who need to be needed. I was keeping you needy. I kept on giving. I kept on showing up. I kept on maximizing the codependency in a relationship because it kept me comfortable. So I had to change, and I couldn't demand change from them. I had to change, and that changed the dynamics of the relationship. So for those who I cannot disconnect with, because disconnection is not always the answer. That's the other thing. Sometimes we decide that you're toxic and I'm leaving. Does that work? Sometimes, if you're talking about abuse, if you're talking about safety issues, yes. But if you're talking about emotional patterns that you sustain on your end, you just run into the next person and it's the same exact thing. You just run into, like, I got out of that toxic relationship and they're canceled and they're blocked. And then you're like, set your watch. 2 months from now, it'll be another one. First it was Stefan, then it's Steven, then it's Steve. And it's all the same it's all the same person. It's a different person, but the same pattern of behavior. So figure out what it is that is causing the replication, right? The continuance of that behavior. First, I pray for the Lord that my daggone camera, I'm trying to figure out how I can plug up my phone because his jaw is struggling. It said, hey, you about to get cut off. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Let's see if it ain't even charging, y'all. It said forget you and your live. It said forget you. Okay, Tina said if we see it ain't even how the phone, how would not charge it though? Anyway, I'm gonna hurry up. Tina said if we see that someone is fragile but toxic due to their own personal issues, do we look to disconnect even though it's just irritating? Be discerning, and I know that's the church answer, but be wise, right? Be wise, because sometimes we want to, oh God, sometimes we want to leave people because they're irritating and they're agitating. But they're our assignment. We're supposed to be in connection with them. We are supposed to be in relationship with them. They're irritating us is actually sharpening us. Listen, your phone is almost dead too because you be running these playlists. I could plug it up to my computer, but I'm afraid because when I do that, it switches to my phone's internet and then it's just bad. It just never works out. So I'm going to try to hurry up. So in those situations, you can see, you can do two things. One, you can adjust. If the relationship is worth it, I don't become another person, but I adjust my approach to accommodate that other person. So it's like if I am abrasive, I can be a little bit more tactful when I'm talking to you. If I am really calm and indirect, I can be more direct when talking to you, because that's what you need for the relationship to function. And that's the part that I can control. Again, if it's somebody who is just agitating us and just irritating us, there's no reciprocity, equality, no enjoyment in the relationship, then I have to question, why am I still there, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, number 5, the nervous system bonds to dysfunction. Yes, you can ask a question. And I'm gonna make this my last point because my phone is struggling. It said like it's like this percent, and I promise you I had 40% when I plugged it up. I said it's always something. And then I'll let you ask your question. So trauma bonding is a real thing. It happens in the brain, and your brain can begin to reward that pain reward cycle, that up and down cycle. We talked a little bit about it when we talked about gaming psychology. And okay, when we talked about gaming psychology and how you get addicted to that up and down, it's just the same thing with substance use. You get addicted to that up and down, the highs and lows, the ebbs and flows. Okay. Okay, I see a question. Keep typing it. So understand that sometimes we have to disconnect and rewire our brains by choosing better, not engaging in what is only comfortable, engaging what actually makes us, that actually challenges us, right? Time for either a new phone or battery. No, so what happens is I forget how long-winded I can be. And I'll be like, I'm only going to be on here for 15 minutes. And then look up and I've been on live for an hour. So that's not cool. But if I do have to stop, I'll come back later on in the day. I'm going to answer the Supreme Views channel question. So what did he say? He says it's about love bombing. Okay, I saw that. Everything that these people are calling love bombing, I'm just calling affection. I've literally displayed these characteristics and had no nefarious thoughts behind it. So then it's not love bombing. So that's the part. Love bombing is a specific thing. It is not just being affectionate. It's not just being caring. And you are in a long-term relationship. So it's not love bombing. You are not trying to buy her affection. You guys have a standing relationship. You guys have a good relationship. You talk to each other. She reciprocates the gift giving, right? The care and the concern. What people might mislabel as love bombing might just be healthy give and take and reciprocity in a relationship. Okay, I think these women are so used to being in bad relationships that they make that normal instead of a man showing affection and actual love. Why in the world are women demonizing a man's affection towards them? That's not what it is. I think unless you have experienced it, it's going to sound strange. It is like the man, back in the day, they'd be like, watch out for the white van. It's like somebody standing outside the white van with you've seen it in movies, right? They got roses and candy, and they're taking you to a trip in uh East Jablip, in Tulum, in Bali. They're flying you out on your second date to go to Bali. They don't love you, they don't like you, they don't know you to do all of those things, but they're doing it in efforts to entrap you, to make you feel indebted to them, to make you feel like you owe them something. And the moment that you don't respond the way they want you to, then you are the worst person in the world. That's love bombing. That's not it's not what you're thinking of. And I think sometimes we take these terms, we take these words, not you, but the people who are talking about it. There we go. I knew it was gonna do that. It's only when I get on live that somebody try to call me, and I'll be having it on do not disturb, and it still will interrupt the process. Anyhow, last thing I'm gonna say is that is not what you're describing. Is not love bombing. Sabrina said, I am saying though, Danielle, I was obsessed with my wife. I've done all of that literally. I wanted to talk to 24 hours. I wanted to buy her stuff. I wanted to give her stuff to let her know. That's fine. Again, the reciprocity is not there. The reciprocity is there. And you are not, you keep saying it wasn't because you had malicious intent. That's part of it. That's part of it. If you are doing those things because you are deathly afraid that if you don't do those things, she's going to leave you, that's very different than if you're doing those things because you just want to show your love and your affection. Different. I'm still muted? Put a 1 in the chat if you can't hear me. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. I'll wait. You can hear me. Yes. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. All right. But yeah, so no, what you're describing is not love bombing. I need you to let them people have their terms. Let them people have their terms. But that's not what you're doing. And it's okay because people misappropriate terminology all the time. They misappropriate, they say it wrong all the time. I've heard so many people say, oh, that's bipolar. That's not bipolar. Oh, that's toxic. That's not toxic. You're a narcissist. They're not a narcissist. People misuse terms all the time. Even trauma bonding. Therapists will use it incorrectly themselves. You're like, that's not trauma. That's not trauma bonding. That's something else. That's codependency, but it's not trauma bonding. So, settle yourself. Settle yourself and be okay. He said he didn't want to hear that part. It's not if it don't if it don't fit, just let it ride. Sometimes we get so mad at other people and their stuff. I think if you have a wife, you shouldn't let her listen to single females. I mean, let is a strong word because people have accused me of be like, you let your husband tell you. Yes, I let my husband tell me, but I think you have to be understanding that if I am not a multimillionaire, I have no business talking about things pertaining to a multimillionaire. I have no clue. I have no clue about what that looks like. So why do people put their mouths on stuff they do not understand? I try not now. Will I give single women advice about being married? Because I'm married. If they ask, I will assist. But I also know that there's things about the single life I have no idea about because I've been married 20 years. I don't remember. When I was out here dating, I wasn't getting on the dating apps. I don't know anything about it. You ask me about Bumble, I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. So I think people have to acknowledge that limitation. I'm not saying that you can't have a wise friend that give you input, but if you are single and you have no desire, you continue to be in the cycle of singleness and don't want to be, why am I listening to you? I'm just saying. Because if I try to tell certain people certain things, even certain married people, I don't give married people advice that don't ask for it, don't solicit it. Why? Because they will be like, you don't know. And I'll be like, oh, okay. People don't want advice for real. There are some married people that don't need to talk to people. I just said that. I be like, well, I'm like, that's what y'all, okay. Oh, that's whatever floats your boat, whatever sinks your ship. Go ahead and do what you need to do. Hey, Me Too. But I'm wrapping up now. I hate to be leaving right as Me Too came in here. Me Too times. Came in here, but my phone is going to cut off. And I don't want to be on the internet, get cut off and be stuck in a little cycle. No. But I thank you so much for your participation, your attention for these few seconds. I will try to get through the rest of these points at some point. But if you have, here's the other thing about toxic relationships. It is very hard to identify toxicity in a relationship if you have no level of self-awareness. If you have not acknowledged some of the things that you have brought with you throughout your relationships, right? That's why I said examine your past relationships. Examine, look over the things that you have experienced in life, and see if you are replicating the things that you have always been used to, right? I remember early on in marriage, there was a different, like, I had to focus on, and I still, let me say this, I still sometimes don't do well with articulating my actual feelings about a thing. I am very cerebral. Y'all know this. I talk up here. You like, just tell the people how you feel. Just say how you feel. You're angry, say you're angry. And I'm like, well, there was an injury that occurred on the macro level, which caused me to be frustrated in my inner man. And I would like you to adjust your behavior. People like, just say you mad though. Just say you offended. But I noticed that that was a pattern early on. My family don't really talk about feelings. They talk about facts, figures, functions, not feelings. Oh, okay. Yeah, she just came in. I think she just came in. I think so. I don't think you would deliberately not speaking to her. But yeah. So look at some of the things that you might be bringing with you. Listen, Tina. I know, cuz I go right up here. I go right up here. I don't, this thing is fragile. My heart is fragile. And so oftentimes I will gravitate to the technicalities and the intellect and the clinical form of a thing. And I don't just say, hey, that hurt my feelings. I was upset when this conversation happens. I left the conversation and I felt devalued. I don't say stuff like that. So again, early on, I would propagate that toxicity in the relationship because I wouldn't tell people how I felt. In most of the relationships that I still have, I had learned to be like, they they know me enough to know when I've been offended, when I've been upset, when I'm sad, when I'm stressed, when I'm being avoided. They know me enough, and they also will challenge me to be like, well, how do you feel? Right? So anyway, that's my last words of the time of the day is really to examine the part that we play in the perpetuation of the toxicity, in the maintenance of the toxicity, because a lot of it is our comfort in our own dysfunction. A lot of it is us turning those red flags yellow, creating us adhering to the connection so earnestly. We just fused with the connection that we don't take the time to evaluate the relationship. It is a difficult one. Self-awareness dismantles. It is like the baking soda in the vinegar. Neutralization when we are self-aware. Because again, the only part that we can change and the only part that we can correct is our part. All right. I pray that you have an amazing rest of your day. In the YouTube, I hope all is well. Baking soda in the vinegar. So you know how when you put baking soda in vinegar, right, it fizzes up. Well, that neutralizes the acid in the vinegar. The base and the acid is neutralizing, so it makes it, I'm sorry. I did it again, Tina. We did biochemistry today. But neutralizing those toxic elements of a relationship requires self-awareness. All right, y'all have an amazing rest of y'all do. Thank you for spending some time with me. Prayerfully I'll be able to put this together in an actual scripted video. Y'all, you know, y'all that's in here, y'all watch my content. Do y'all like the lives in terms of like the free flowing information? Are y'all a fan of the scripted material? There has been much consternation and discussion about which is better. Okay, lives. Okay. Yeah, okay. So there might be some combination stuff where I record as if I'm doing a live and then edit it. So we'll see. I'm partial to scripts, you know. They're more intellectual. But anyhow, thank you, Tina, for that feedback. If anybody else has feedback, please let me know. I want to refine the channel a little bit. Yeah, go ahead. You need to ask questions. I see. So the lives help when you have questions. So what I might do is start doing videos towards a topic and then have lives just, you know, discussing some things so people get a little bit of both. Because scripted videos, I feel like you should be able to click it and get the information. For me, it's like, click, oh, you're talking about rejection, click information. Lives are more, let's converse. Let us gather together. Amen. So thank you for that feedback, Tina. If anybody else has feedback for me, I will receive it gladly. Because don't just be mean, though. Like, none of y'all would just be mean, but some people just be like, this sucked. Fix it. Like, I don't need that. I just need constructive criticism. Amen. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. If I do not, amen. I like that. I like that idea. Me 2 times. I like it. But I will see you guys very soon. If not for prayer tomorrow, maybe on one of your next videos. Have an amazing one. Bye, Anthony. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who has come in. Have a blessed day. Bye.